Hello everyone, welcome back to the Trinity Multiverse. Today I'm here with an exciting episode as we discuss all of the updates and information we've seen so far about Epic Universe, but specifically the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry. And I want to start this off by talking about the storyline that is now officially confirmed for the Battle of the Ministry ride. As we know, the land itself is built around the 1920s, specifically around Fantastic Beasts era in France. So a lot of people are questioning, okay, how did we get from 1920s France to 1990s London, specifically during the time frame that Harry has already defeated Voldemort and everyone's going to trial? So the main premise of that is the whole entire land is going to be surrounded by time turner magic. Specifically, we would take a time turner from the 1920s and we would travel to the future into the 1990s. And technically, time turners are forbidden at the Ministry. Umbridge is now acknowledged that there is a time turner there. She breaks free before her trial is supposed to start, and she tries to get that time turner so she can go back in time and resurrect Voldemort so they can, essentially win the battle at Hogwarts. And I was honestly questioning for the longest time, what the timeline would be and, how they would progress that into the story. And I'm glad they used it in this way because I've seen some footage from Media Day where people have walked through the portal and you actually hear the chimes of the time turner. And for those of you who are like, I don't know what that sounds like, go ahead and watch Prisoner of Azkaban when Hermione and Harry are going back in time so they could save Sirius and Buckbeak. You can hear the sound of the time turner. So when you're walking through, you're basically traveling from 2025 into 1920s France. And from 1920s France, you are going to be using the time turner to go to the Ministry of Magic. And now that we've kind of figured that out, we're going to specifically talk about how the aspects of traveling to the Ministry are going to work. So for those of you who've been to Universal Orlando before or just watched videos, know that the phone booth outside of Diagon Alley, you can go over to the phone booth and you can type in magic and it connects you to the Ministry of Magic. But in this case, you're going to use the Metro Flu system, and that revolves around Flu powder. One of the aspects we see Flu powder in the films is obviously Chamber of Secrets. When Harry is traveling with Ron and his family to Diagon Alley, they're using the fireplace, they're using Flu powder. We all know Harry says Dagalily and travels through, goes to the wrong shop. That's the same type of system we're using now. So when you get in line, they're going to direct you to a fireplace. When you walk through the fireplace, fog is going to kind of shoot up at you and it's going to turn green. It's like you're traveling through the Flu network. Then you're going to go through a tunnel and you're going to go out into the Ministry of Magic queue. And let me tell you, from the videos I've seen, from the photos I've seen, oh my God, this thing is phenomenal. It blows so many other aspects of things that Universal's done before out of the water. This is the most intricate and interactive piece of art I've ever seen. This queue is astounding, and I mean it with the fullest extent of my heart. The way they've built this queue to be is something I've never seen before, and I love being immersed into things, and that's all I can say is that this is so immersive. And seeing the image of Umbridge in the Daily Prophet hanging above you like it would in the film and in the story, and seeing the statues and the offices and the flying, mail system that's above you and all of that. It's it's insane. And specifically Umbridge's office too, because you get introduced to her elf, and I'm so sorry if I end up pronouncing the name wrong. Higgledy. I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong. You get introduced to her house elf in her office that she had at the Ministry of Magic. Of course, it's all pink. They were able to do moving cats in the plates, which we've all seen from Order of Phoenix. And there's even a portrait of a cat that has a moving duster around it. And it's insane. I mean, obviously, we know that they were able to use those types of metrics when filming the actual Harry Potter films, because the Harry Potter studio tour in London, you see at the Burrow, most of the stuff that was moving in the kitchen was actually moving, it was practical. So this technology has always been around for, them to use. So I really like that they're utilizing it in that way too. But another thing that I really like is the cart system. And I talked about it before in a different episode on my other podcast that I have with my other host, Kyla. It's called Talks of Terror. If you want to check out the Epic Universe updates I did there, you actually see where I discussed this already. But the system metrics, I always said was going to be like Tower of Terror. It's not to the fullest extent Tower of Terror. It is very similar from what I've heard. You go in, you sit. The whole entire back row, it's a bunch of seats. You have 3 sets of 2 seats that are put together in the front. I heard it goes left, it goes right, it goes up, it goes down. They said the dropping system is similar to Rise of the Resistance, like very short drops. Whatever it is, it's amazing. They said it's not like nothing they've ever seen before, and I fully believe them when they say this in this video, because the one thing about the system and the elevator system specifically in Ministry of Magic was it will go up, it will go down, it will go left, it will go right, it will take you all over the place. And obviously that's something that would be very hard to replicate in an actual ride system. So the fact that they were able to do that is insane. And another thing that I wanted to discuss, because I know a lot of people where there's always a big debate between Disney and Universal, is Disney will use animatronics, Universal always uses screens. And from what I've heard, there's hardly any screens in this specific ride, and there's a lot of animatronics, specifically animatronics revolving Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Professor Umbridge, or technically now Dolores Umbridge, and 2 Death Eaters fighting, and they are all presented as animatronics as well as magical creatures that you will see. And I love that it's almost in a way that they listened and they were like, okay, you guys don't want that many screens, okay, we're going to bring animatronics to life. Because as we've seen from Monsters Unchained, there's about 14 different confirmed characters that are going to be animatronics, and from even leaked footage I've hardly seen any screens, and I've mostly seen animatronics, which is honestly great because the animatronics themselves look so advanced. And obviously you can see how much investment Universal has actually put into those animatronics. And since we can't see any footage right now of what the animatronics for the Battle of the Ministry is going to be, I'm just presuming from what I've seen from Monsters Unchained, I'm going to say that they're going to be right on the dot with how these characters look, because it's just insane. And honestly, to even think of the fact that we have like a Harry Potter and Ron Weasley animatronic is equally as crazy, because I mean, I know for me, like, we've always had the screens, especially with the Forbidden Journey ride. Like, pretty much the whole entire premise is that they're screens. Like, Draco Malfoy's on the screen, Hagrid's on the screen, Hermione, Neville, everybody is just on a screen. So to have them as animatronics is actually like insane. And it's so crazy to me. And also, talking about characters, besides the fact that there's animatronics, the portraits you see when you're in the queue, and for those who don't know what I'm talking about, they have Mad-Eye Moody, which I know we technically have seen Mad-Eye Moody already in the Gringotts ride, but we have Mad-Eye Moody, we have Cornelius Fudge, we have Frank and Alice Longbottom, which I personally never saw any influencer talk about this, but Alice and Frank Longbottom, who, for those of you who are like, who are they? They're Neville's parents. They're the ones who were crucioed by Bellatrix Lestrange and have been in a coma-like state for so long, and which is why he lives with his grandparents. They have portraits inside the queue for the Battle of the Ministry. And we also see Kingsley Shacklebolt. There's just so many characters that weren't even confirmed to come back to reprise themselves, and we're seeing those now just within the queue itself. And I love that they put those details into place, because, you know, the whole premise is like, it could have been Harry, it could have been Neville, like one of them could have been pretty much like the chosen one. And I think it's so smart to include them in there, because like honestly, like the whole premise was like they were part of the original Order of the Phoenix, and you know, like they helped in a way where, you know, protect people from Voldemort the first time around. And I just think because their characters have been so like underrepresented, the fact that Universal is bringing them to life, even with just like a moving portrait, I think is so nice. And especially the little cues too, that it's like, yeah, before Neville becomes a professor, he's in Aurora with Ron and Harry. And so not only is he working there and you can see his locker in the locker room, now his parents' portrait has also been added, and I think that's just a nice little touch, and I think it's an amazing job that they're doing. And honestly, besides going that, because obviously that ride is the 1990s, when you get off, you go back through the flue powder system and you go to the 1920s. And because that's set around Fantastic Beasts, you're dealing with a lot of magical creature animatronics, specifically in the interactive windows. So one that I want to discuss that I think is really cute is a demiguise. And for those of you who might not know what a demiguise is, it's in Fantastic Beasts. It's also in Hogwarts Legacy, which is the video game. But that one's like a secret little hidden location. You do a spell and you can see him pop up in the glass window. There's also a niffler that's hanging from a chandelier, and when you do your spell, he drops little, gold coins. There's just a lot. There's an animatronic mooncalf, which, again, for those of you who don't know and haven't seen Fantastic Beasts, it's something that's in Hogwarts Legacy. It's in both of those, so you can find what they look like pretty easily. It's insane. It's actually insane. And the way to specifically see these is with a new wand system. They're battery-powered wands. It's going to connect to your Universal app. It's similar to a way of the power-up bands from Super Mario. It's going to connect to the app. You will select your own house. When you select your house, you will gain points by each spell that you do, each time you interact. It's going to track house points. It's also going to track which spell you do. So if you've done Revelio, it's going to mark it that you've done that in this specific land. If you've done Alohomora, it's going to mark it that you've done it in this specific land. There's a lot of different interactive spells you can do, and all of them are going to be kept in order in the app each time you do it. These spells are in Epic Universe. These wands can be used in Epic Universe. More interactive experiences revolving these wands will be in Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade as well. Obviously, it's going to be probably after Epic Universe opens, although I know they're integrating some of it now. We just kind of have to wait and see where it progresses. But so far from everything I've seen, it's been absolutely amazing. And I honestly cannot wait for the park to officially open and to actually see some ride footage of the Battle of the Ministry, because right now only influencers have gone on this roller coaster, and they were so strict about not recording that nobody actually knows what it looks like. We're just kind of playing it by ear, which is exactly what this episode was. I'm playing it by ear. I just know that there's animatronics. I know they were allowed to record the queue and what the ride carts look like. That's the information I have. But besides that, it's still just amazing. I think it's just great. And honestly, I am so excited for this park to come out. And as more information gets released and as more time goes on, I will be updating you all on Epic Universe and everything it has to offer. My next couple episodes, I do think I'll be doing updates about will be Super Nintendo World, and it will be for How to Train Your Dragon, which I did cover that quite a bit, but I still think that it needs more. There's more animatronic dragons out, there's more meet and greets, there's more interactive videos revolving Rough Nut and Tough Nut and Astrid, Stormfly, Hiccup and Toothless, and the little baby dart animatronic. So there's so many options that we could go with, and I think all of it just needs to be covered. So thank you guys for listening along.